Hello YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy GZTV. We are back with another video, and in this video we are going to be reviewing the 1997 science fiction horror Event Horizon, which features the likes of Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, and Joely Richardson. So we're going to go through the plot, we're going to go through the critical reception. You guys kind of know how this goes. I give my own review, I give some other people's views on it, so let's get into it. So this movie takes place in 2047, where they hear a distress signal from the Event Horizon, a starship that disappeared during its maiden voyage to Proxima Centauri 7 years earlier. And I mean, this is one of those like movies in the 90s. They had like this future crave where they were trying to tell the future. And these were like actual thoughts by like movie creators. The ship mysteriously reappears in a decaying orbit around Neptune, and the rescue vessel Lewis and Clark is dispatched to investigate. Its crew, Captain Miller, Second-in-Command Lieutenant Stark, Pilot Smith, Medical Technician Peters, Engineer Ensign Justin, Dr. DJ, and Rescue Technician Cooper, is joined by Dr. William Ware, the Event Horizon's designer. He's the one that made the ship. He's the one that like knows all the science behind all this like crazy shit that they're like trying to formulate in the movie. And yeah, he knows everything about all the science. He's like super like advanced in the field and all that stuff. He briefs them on the ship's experimental gravity drive with a simple visualization of how it folds space-time. Takes a piece of paper, stabs a hole on like each end, folds it together, and like the ends meet. And he's like, well, we're gonna fold space on top of each other. And that was like his whole idea for the Event Horizon. The distress signal consists of a series of screams and howls, but DJ believes he hears the Latin phrase "liberate me," which means to save me. I took a little Spanish, I guess I could kind of figure that out myself. So upon boarding the Event Horizon, the crew finds evidence of a massacre. Something terrible has happened to this crew. They didn't just like randomly go missing. This wasn't just a random occurrence. Something fucking horrible happened on this ship, and they need to investigate. They need to find the cause of their death, and they need to find like a way to explain what happened on this ship. They're doing it for research. They're doing it for all sorts of things. So as they search for survivors, the ship's gravity drive activates and briefly pulls Justin into a portal. Okay, where was I? So Dustin gets sucked up like because the gravity drive gets activated, and then there's also like a shockwave that goes through that kind of like destroys, or not destroys, kind of damages the Lewis and Clark, like the ship they came on. So this shockwave like fucking breaks some of their ship. So the crew are all forced to board the Event Horizon while Justin emerges in a catatonic state, which is like, kind of like motionless, kind of like zombified. I think that's what catatonic means. He attempts suicide by decompression, but is saved by Miller, forcing the crew to place Justin in stasis to like kind of stabilize him, So Smith and Cooper are sent on a spacewalk to repair the hull with the Lewis and Clark. So the crew kind of begins having hallucinations corresponding to their fears and regrets, which is an interesting concept. This movie sets up to have a very interesting concept, but there's somewhere in here, and you see the title, and you see the thumbnail and stuff, there's somewhere in here where I'm like, man, I fell asleep a couple of times. I'm not even lying. Maybe I was a little tired that day. I don't know. But it was so disengaging through like telling this story. So Miller sees a subordinate he was forced to abandon to his death. Peter sees her son with his legs covered in bloody lesions and like these nasty ass like warts and shit. Ware sees an eyeless vision of his late wife urging him to join her. And there's all of these like survivor's guilt and all this stuff like in this movie. Like the process of grieving, I guess it's interesting, but the way it's told is just not that effective to me. They discover a video log of the Event Horizon's crew fornicating and mutilating each other shortly after first engaging the gravity drive. So the gravity drive pretty much made these people go insane, made them like hurt each other and all sorts of different things. So the log ends with a shot of the Event Horizon's captain holding his own eyes gouged from their sockets and speaking the Latin phrase from the earlier distress call. And I guess this is kind of like a foreshadow because, as you guys know, well, this is a spoiler review. I'm going to be spoiling all the ending, spoiling everything that happens throughout the film all the way leading up to the close. And yeah, we know where Dr. Ware ends up. He ends up in damn near this same position. So again, it's like some foreshadowing. And that's a pretty cool thing, you know. DJ translates the complete phrase as liberate tu te me ex inferis, save yourself from hell. So this movie has elements of hell in it, and I thought that was interesting when I first watched it, you know, kind of introducing the concept of hell in a space movie, in outer space. It doesn't really make sense on the surface level, but it was cool to experience in the film, I guess. Hell is not cool, I don't think that, but like just the concept of that. But Ware explains that the ships drive opened a gateway to a hellish dimension outside the known universe, and that the event horizon has attained sentience. And maybe this is the writer's way of giving their own concept of like hell. I don't know. Miller decides to destroy it and orders an evacuation, while Peters is lured to her death by an hallucination of her son. So this is kind of the part of the movie where people start to kind of die off. Ware, who has gouged out his own eyes and is possessed by the evil presence, uses an explosive device to destroy the Lewis and Clark, killing Smith and blasting Cooper off into space, so he's kind of forced to like venture his way back to the ship, you know, kind of like swimming in space, you know. I don't know if that's how that actually works. I don't know how accurate that was, but yeah. So yeah, now Ware is under this like spell, pretty much, like under this possession, you know. It's crazy. It's exactly what happened in like the video logs they looked at. Ware kills DJ by vivisecting him and corners Stark on the bridge. So vivisecting, I mean, I don't really want to go into detail. You can kind of watch the movie if you want to know what that means. It's pretty much taking like pins and like flaps of skin and like hanging them up. Opening like their organs out. It's like a procedure you do on a damn animal. So it's pretty fucking brutal, but yeah. Miller confronts Ware, who overpowers him and initiates a 10-minute countdown to activate the gravity drive and returns to the other dimension. Cooper uses his spacesuit's oxygen supply to propel himself back to the ship and appears at the bridge window, so it seems like Cooper is going to survive this situation. Ware shoots at him, shattering the window, causing Ware to be blown into space by the decompression, like pretty much sucked out by this gravitational force. Miller, Stark, and Cooper survive and manage to seal off the ship's bridge. With their own ship destroyed, Miller plans to split the event horizon into two with explosives and uses its forward section as a lifeboat to pretty much like shove them the other direction almost. Like the explosive blast will almost push them back to Earth, you know. He is attacked by hallucinations which turn out to be the resurrected and further mutilated Ware. And they see a body in the beginning of the film, and again, more kind of foreshadowing. They see this body in the beginning of the film that's like, their face is like scratched up. It kind of looks like a pinhead, you know, without the pins in it, obviously. But yeah. Again, more foreshadowing. Miller fights him off and detonates the explosives, sacrificing himself. So yeah, Miller pretty much dies from that. The gravity drive activates, pulling the ship's stern section into a black hole. Stark and Cooper enter stasis beside a comatose Justin and wait to be rescued. 72 days later, the wreckage of the Event Horizon is boarded by a rescue party who discover the survivors in stasis. So this is the first time they can actually successfully save someone off the ship. Stark sees Ware posing as one of the rescuers and screams in terror, but wakes up and realizes that it was a nightmare. Cooper and the rescue team try to calm the terrified Stark as the doors close. So yeah, that's another negative. I kind of forgot the movie did that. It had this whole, like, it was all a fucking dream, which is so stupid. I've never been a huge fan of movies that go in that direction. But it is what it is, and that adds to more critique of the movie. Let's get into the review, though. So all in all, you know, this movie, it's not terrible, but it's definitely probably one of the worst horror movies we've watched on this channel. We mentioned Rotten Tomatoes a lot. You know, they got a 33%, 88 reviews, 5.1 out of 10. You know, despite a strong opening that promises sci-fi thrills, Event Horizon quickly devolves into an exercise of style over substance, whose flashy effects and gratuitous gore fail to mask its over-reliance on horror cliches. Yeah, there's a lot of cliches. I mean, this movie is full of them. That's what this movie strives on, is all these cliches, like, oh, it's just a dream, all these horror tropes. It's like, man. And yeah, it's like visually appealing. It's one of those movies. I mean, I don't want to compare it to like some of the Marvel movies, but it's one of those movies that's just so appealing that visually that you never really get a true artful film in terms of the storytelling and whatnot. It got a 3.5 out of 10 on Metacritic, 20 critics. Not a lot of people liked it over there. Cinema Score gave it a D+. I got a 2 out of 4 by Roger Ebert. That's another guy we kind of mentioned on the channel a lot. Its atmosphere was great. The opening portion was pretty well crafted. I feel it never managed to become the intense, thought-provoking experience it wanted to be, though, and that's kind of its whole problem. The film's pointlessly loud. That is true. It's loud as shit. There's more devotion to style than scares and a satisfying explanation of its supernatural experiences. Like, why the fuck is this the thing? There's no backstory to it at all. Yeah, the film never fulfills its promise. That the film never fulfills its promise is down to its over-reliance on horror, vagaries, and a precision-built sci-fi milieu, ultimately leaving too many unanswered queries. A sharper script and a more credible solution could have turned this impressive hokum into a force to be reckoned with. Tarkovsky's Solaris got a lot of comparisons to this movie, or this movie got a lot of comparisons to that movie. There were people that liked it, though. 3 out of 5 on Total Film. Excellent special effects, an alien-esque feel, which makes a supernatural horror film. The Shining in space, I guess. Well worth a look. It's worth watching, but is it worth rewatching? Probably not. I got a B+ by Owen Gleiberman. Just when you've written off this deep space nightmare as a late summer melange of Alien, Fantastic Voyage, The Shining, and a dozen more forgettable, otherworldly thrillers, which is kind of ironic because this is way more forgettable than the Alien or The Shining franchise. And unleashes some of the most unsettling horror imagery in years. Despite its shortcomings, this is never dull. I would disagree. The movie avoids alien space monster cliches brilliantly, and the soundtrack contains more of the boo effects that I've heard since Halloween. There are a couple things I do want to say about this film. Yeah, it's scary, and yeah, there's not like these corny looking like monsters. Like, the monsters are the people and their own thoughts. Man, I don't know. There are some pretty unsettling moments. It is a pretty kind of wincing film, I guess, but in terms of everything else, like the storytelling, the script, the actors, it's not a great film. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it off. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, guys. As always, it has been GZTV, reviewing your favorite films. We review your favorite TV shows. We play video games. We listen to music. We do all sorts of things on this channel. You'll find something on this channel you like. So, on that note, I'm out. Tonight, possibly a GTA stream with the boys. That should be interesting. We are 2 weeks away from Madden, so I'm trying to kind of hold over my community a little bit. So, yeah, I'm out, guys.